I do want to continue kind of going at the opening section that I started doing last week, because I've been wanting to do it for like a month now. So I'm just going to continue it. We are talking kind of about my experience with French, Karokan, and Pirk, which are all kind of embedded in Negi's book. So I'm, I guess, advertising for him. So yeah, feel free to buy his book. He's pretty good when it comes. He's great brain, and I mean the book is like what 6 years, 7 years now. Oh my god, the book is getting old. But I still play some of his line, and I still love it. So I do think it is definitely worth it. Also, thank you for the follow. Be sure to continue supporting us with your follows and subscribes and that side of it. Now, last week we talked about this beauty on YouTube. So if you haven't checked it out, make sure to take your time and do that. So this was a specific game that I showed. It was a beautiful game. I loved it. I won it. And I gave you analysis on my take on this specific opening as well. Now, I want to kind of switch things up and talk about French for a little bit. To be fair, I did show a bit of French about 3 weeks ago on Twitch. So this is going to be more of a build-up on that. And to kind of build upon this as well, it would be really, really great if you have any like French, Pirk, Philidor, or Karokan games that you want to submit for the next hour. That'll just kind of top it off for our class. But for now, I kind of want to show you some sidelines right now. So I kind of want to see, chat, what are some of the, and also people here, what are some of the sidelines that you kind of see here? What do you think are some of the ideas Black can do? There's so many of them, so what are we thinking?
Black doesn't have to play C5, is that what you're saying?
Ooh, I hear Danny.
Oh,
there you are.
C4.
You can, I mean.
They say there's a lot of options.
Oh yes.
Really? Okay.
Kind of. C5, look, C5 is the best one, but you can also take here. You can also like start with knight E7. There's some weird B6 stuff, so there's options. So maybe let's start with take. If they do take, when we take back, you know, that kind of takes away the stress of A3. So now we can continue considering bishop A3 instead. You know, that definitely helps us. So taking before we play A3 is definitely not a good idea for opponents. Also, if they do play knight E7, it is kind of a transposition to this knight E7 ideas. You know, you play queen G4, they can either castle or queen C7, and that's, again, transposition to the main lines. But what if B6? What do you think about this? In French, especially in Winover, these B6 are very kind of annoying, because if opponent can play bishop A6 and exchange these two, yeah, you have to be quite careful about that. So what do you think we should do? Can we really stop bishop A6? Also, it's so cold here. It's rainy, but it's humid. But somehow I'm always freezing. So what do you think white should do? C4. C4 is definitely an interesting choice, but that's not the only one. So because this bishop is no longer on F8, it means G7 pawn is kind of an easy target. So we definitely want to keep attacking this. And then another option that we can kind of continue is this H4, H5 ideas, because again, a huge part of our advantage is kingside / center. So we want to be able to use this advantage here. Now, again, H5 is totally fine. Black can try and stop our pawn push, but now What do you think we should do as white? Should we accept the change? Exchange? Oh. Or should we try and block it with like knight e2? What do you think we should do as white?
We should accept it because the knight's misplaced on e6.
That's fair. Yeah, that's a good option. So yes, I agree. We should take and then develop the knight, and it's kind of a chill opening. You're gonna probably go bishop g5 at some point, decide how to continue. Should we go pawn f4? Should we go knight f4? You have a lot of options, and white is just slightly better, but it's not that huge of a advantage. So in this game I chose to go knight e2, and I'm not the biggest fan of it, to be honest, but let's look into it anyways. Knight e2, and okay, yeah, opponent played weird. Something like queen d7 would have been more supportive for him. But in this case, now, let me ask you, what should white do? I'm just going to show you maybe 2 or 3 more moves of this game because I still want to take my time on the other lines. But for now, what do you think white should do? Also, Danny, if you're still here, can you move there so I can actually see you? So I don't have to... No hiding.
How come Dennis gets a hide?
He's not hiding, he's right here.
Oh, okay.
See, I brought him sunflower seeds, so he has to sit somewhere, eat them, and stay where he is.
That was a trick.
Of course. I tried to find beef jerky with popcorn, but I guess we're all out of it.
It's a good
I couldn't find it.
Like
Well, next week. So, what do you think white should do? Does anybody want to do anything in the king side? I would say center, but center is pretty locked, so ha. Oh, okay, see, yeah, father in real life. Well, nice. Yeah, that's what I went for. I tried to like move this queen, I tried to go f3, g4, and that was fine, but it wasn't the best idea. f4 is quite interesting. Again, it's really hard to envision when you want to play f5 in this case, but the point is you don't have to envision it. You just gotta do it. And when they take, now you can get some e6 ideas. Now you can try to consider like moving the queen away, getting ready for, getting the knight to move, pushing over here. It is a lot of stuff. But in my game, I just couldn't see this f4, f5 working out, so I didn't do it. But it would be a nice pawn sacrifice. So I just went like queen e3, and then I just tried to go for this. And it really made the position overcomplicated because, yeah, it's fine, but at the same time, it's like I can't make the attack work. And we played for another like 20 moves and it ended in a draw, which is still hurtful when I think about it because that was one of the years that I was really, really trying for Norm, and I would play these tournaments and I was like this close to getting it, and then I would make a draw with somebody and it wouldn't happen. And anyways, so I believe this was a 2015 game. Oh, 2015. It was great for my rating, not that great for my title, but yeah. Anyways, I remember 2015 at some point I had like 23 like 50, and then I went to 2190, and then I went to like 23 like 60 or 70, and then I came back. It was crazy. So I'm so glad to be done with the crazy K40 or 20 or whatever it was. So alright, so that's one of the things I wanted to show. The other,
so objectively, were we supposed to take on a6 or were we supposed to play knight e2?
take on a6. Okay. Yeah. Now the other thing is this weird b6. How do you feel about it? To be fair, I really don't like it, so if you play with me, don't play that.
I'm happy to see it as a white.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
Well, they're gonna
Oh,
play
there's a
bishop
third
a6
one.
and trade off the French bishop.
Why do people keep
Floors.
hiding in that corner?
It's the best spot.
Okay.
So yeah, the main thing is just avoiding that trade completely. Make sure their bishop just stays bad.
Yeah, I agree, but when they play b6, you don't really get a choice.
Right.
Unless you actually know the
Unless you
open.
play like G3, but it seems terrible.
Yeah, I agree, that does. So, Queen G4 is quite interesting, and I just, when opponent plays Bishop of Fate, I just want to like shake him. I know I can't legally do that, but it's just so annoying because, dude, you just play Bishop F4, Bishop B4. Just let the bishop be, even if you want to move something, just go King F8. But, you know, Bishop F8 kind of, I guess that has that thing because I want to punish them immediately, but I can't punish them immediately, so yeah. I'm not saying you should go play this, by the way, but if you're trying to, you know, annoy the opponent just 1 or 2 games, yeah, do consider this Bishop F8. Alright, so this Bishop F8, what do you think is a good move for white? Because now I have 2 pieces that I've already developed. You know, I have that Queen on G4, I have that Knight on C3, but opponent hasn't really developed at all.
Is A4 too weird? Like if we actually want to stop Bishop A6, which like isn't that dangerous, but if we stop, we could play A4 now. Let's
Well,
Knight B5.
you could. The other options that you can also consider is like this, or you can try this, and then you can kind of like round it
Do we want to
around.
skip over there?
Something to consider.
Yeah, that bishop just feels so weird up there.
Yeah, but I also don't want to exchange them.
That's
This is.
true.
Yeah.
I just want to put this bishop on d3 and just like smack the other bishop out of a6.
So what's wrong with A4 to stop Bishop A6?
Well, let's talk about it. What are you gonna do?
B5?
Knight b5?
They're happy to trade the bishop regardless.
Yeah, that's true. But also now you always gonna have to stay here and deal with this knight.
Nah, I like your knight b5. Especially look at C6.
They can't play C6.
C6
Because
knight
knight should,
B6.
yeah, and then you take on G7,
So that's why I'm moving this knight first. Then I'll go c6.
H4.
Ooh.
Yes. Very sadistic.
Okay, I'll go h5 first. Hmm. I mean, if there are better
I
options, we
guess
should.
instead of knight c3, I guess I'd want to play c3 so I could have queen a4 check versus.
Wait,
bishop
what now?
a6. I'm just saying like way back, but because when we play knight c3, we allow this sort of stuff.
But there.
But it's like there's not much. Like if we play e5, if we play e5 right away, because then we can play c3, and then if they try to do this b6.
Yeah, that's true, but then again, you kind of have to deal with, like, this is a whole different strategy, whole different opening,
Right.
and
Yeah.
I have played e5, you know, these c3, a3 ideas, they're pretty cool. I mean, it's definitely worth looking into it, but it's very limited. Like,
Okay.
in the Winover, in like this knight c3 idea, there is much more room to deal with, like, yes, same pawn structure, but lot of different strategies, you know. If opponent tries to castle, if opponent tries to go c5, if like, you know, a lot of the times we don't even castle, we just keep the king in the middle of the center, and it's I feel like I would get much more interesting positions in Winover than I would get in well, most of the other French
Right. Just too
stuff.
dry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fair enough.
So that's one thing to keep in mind. Now, no. Let's go b6. So looking at this b6, I do like bishop b5. I feel like it's kind of a interesting try. And yeah, if opponent plays bishop d7, great. We'll just bring it back. Good luck. No more bishop a6. Haha. But if they play like c6, then they also kind of move this pawn too early and in a square that they wouldn't want to. So that's something that I could potentially, you know, get happy about. Now, I do want to talk about this maneuver for a second. I just want to see how you guys feel about this. So, actually, yeah, how do you feel about this? I see some...
I don't like it for life, but it's.
I don't mind it. c5 is not going to get played anytime soon. So
Unless
we're
they
not gonna
play
get this
B5
back at our
first.
center. I mean, it's gonna happen eventually, but
Mhm.
I mean, in the meantime, we can start attacking on the
That's
inside.
fair.
If Denny says it's suspicious, it's suspicious.
Okay.
That's fair. Also, I'm kind of freezing over here. Can somebody raise the temperature by like 5 degrees at least? Yeah,
It's supposed to be locked. But okay.
it's never locked.
Oh, okay. Well,
If it's locked, I'm gonna freeze. I think it's the window. Me sitting here. Thank you. Alright. Now, let's talk about something weird. A5. You know, it's not that weird because it has some bishop eating ideas. Now, what do you think we should do? We're talking weird French stuff today, so might as well get them out of the way. So what do you think we should do?
like we have to play anything.
Uh,
I like bishop b3 more,
Mhm.
then I can play a4.
Yeah.
If they go b5, I can do a4.
Exactly, yeah.
Yep, that's a good point.
Alright, now what do we do with the knight? You have options.
I
Sacrifice
was trying
knight.
to think of a way to get to c5, but it's just not doable. I guess I would just play knight,
Ah,
knight e2.
it's a good sound. Yeah, let's bring the knight to e2. Now, the thing is, again, your position is a little more disorganized than I would have wanted to be, but in the long run, my ideal thing would be to kind of lock up the queen side / center and just go bananas on the king side. So since there is already this lock and there's already this lock, the only thing I kind of have to worry about is the c5, c4 happening. So I'm already kind of considering maybe when should I play this, when should I try and play this. So it's a lot of stuff to consider. But ultimately, keeping that big picture in mind that we would love to block this whole ABCDE and just go crazy on FGH, that's what we would want to do. And yeah, exactly, I see in the chat. This could also be something we could consider because this would be the ideal diagonal for our bishop. So, alright, let's say bishop a6. Now what do you do? Oh, I see a few first-time chatters. Hello. Also, if you're watching us without following, please follow so everybody else can see that Caleb chasing chicken thingy. I really need the original footage of that. Do you have it?
Yeah, I filmed it.
Well-
Well, me and Ben filmed it at Jonathan's house. That's actually the backyard of Jonathan's.
Man.
I don't know if this is right. I would play knight g3, so I could play like f4 and f5 down the road and just avoid this trade, so you can't take my knight with this bishop. But then I am restricting myself from casting because the bishop's not going to be traded then. So I would play knight g3 here.
I think knight g3 is okay. The only thing that kind of makes me think is this c. I don't want to leave my queen side completely, without any defenders because then when you get c5, if you play c3, then this can get too hopeful. Yeah, too hopeful for opponent to open. Yeah. So I think it's good idea to just keep the knight here for right now, and then we can try and maybe develop this guy. One way to do it is knight h3, and the idea with knight h3 is actually, let me think about it because I was gonna say maybe we can push the f-pawn, bring king f2, but I actually don't like that. How about knight f3? Or actually, we were talking about this c5, so I don't want c5. Let's just go bishop e3. That makes more sense. To kind of stop these ideas, even if you try to push more for it, I can still try to protect my here and
We don't care if we use castling rights then?
no, if they take, we take, that's totally fine because we can always like fake castle if needed.
Yep.
So that's okay. But so kind of we're still thinking about long-term ideas, and if we can get this side locked, that's great. The computer was showing some weird stuff with like long castle. I don't know how I feel about that, to be honest. I wouldn't play this in a real game. Yeah, I wouldn't do
Just
it.
hope it stays locked.
Sorry?
You're just hoping that it stays locked up the queen side. 'Cause if
Yeah,
it's
but
like
they definitely gonna do c5 sooner or later, so why am I putting myself through this?
that- Right.
Was your knight h3 move to play knight f4 to support the knight so the queen doesn't have to support the e2
Yeah.
knight, and then you're not scared of h5? Is that why you were thinking about knight h3? Or?
Partially, yeah. The other thing that I was trying to decide is when to play h4. Because I do want to consider h4, because if I get h5 I'm good, but the problem is in French, whenever you play h4, opponents could technically just go h5 and kind of mess with your dreams. So that's another thing to keep in mind. Yeah. So I'm kind of sick of this b6. Let's move on to something else. But we have few ideas what to do with b6. That's good enough for now, because we're just kind of giving brief introductory to the crazy stuff. Okay, let's go c5. Now I kind of want to talk about this for a minute, just because again I managed to get myself into a losing game in 2015. 2015 was such a... I played like almost 200, more than 200 rated classic games. So it was just crazy, and I was just playing way too much. And again, my rating did go pretty high up, but my I feel like my chess kept going back and forth. So yeah, this actually happened to me in one of the last rounds in BL 2015, and I ended up losing, and it was very, very painful because again I was close to Nor, because I had drawn like a 2650 the first round. I had beat like a 2400, so I was on track for Norman. So what do you think? What should we do?
E4,
Queen g4.
Yeah, b4 is in the trap. And then knight b5.
Yeah, I couldn't completely remember my b4s, so I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go with something safer. I'm gonna go queen g4. There's no way this is bad, and it's not bad, but it's not theory, and opponent started to equalize really fast, and yeah, this was not pretty. Ugh. See, the position is still comfortable, but there's so many little problems with it that upon, you know, not so many hanging stuff, so many uncomfortable pawns, yuck. So yeah, I ended up actually losing this game. I'm still pretty fine, but for example, I had to choose to play king e2 right now. Come on.
King E2 just doesn't feel good.
Like, why would I? Like,
Yeah.
rook h3 feels much more comfortable because you're kind of getting the rook involved, you're not pinning your own king over here. So, but the problem was now queen b2, and then I have to move this, and then that falls, and then this is a whole deal to do. Yeah, that was sad. Anyways, so I'm just gonna talk about the theory for just very briefly. So no queen g4, b4 is a good idea. Now they can take here, they can take there. Let's talk about this one first. What should we do? That's one of the options. I'm trying to think, do we want queen g4 before knight b5, or do we want to just go knight b5? Any thoughts, feelings?
Demi, I trust him.
Oh, I don't know, they both are.
Oh, okay, question in the chat. Why can't we just take the bishop? Well, we can, but they take over here. And then this is kind of wobbly. If we go over here, then we always have this nasty king f8. Ugh. It's not doable, but that's not the way to punish. Well, not that. e4 definitely first. If they take, I kind of do like queen g4, and the king gotta move, because if you play g6, well, that just gives me even more ideas with how to attack you and how to use these weaknesses.
What if I play knight e7 instead?
Now?
So knight e7, queen takes, and then
Well-
it's the same.
But I don't have to take it. That's kind of the thing. Because right now, when you play knight e7, actually I could. Let's say if we take this first, they take, then I take. You go here, I take. You're gonna what? Take this? Oh, that's not the best idea now because this kind of feels very similar to the. Oh my god, I can't remember the name of that.
Poison pawn. It's the poison pawn variation.
Doesn't actually have a name.
I mean,
Well, I just thought this stuff was good for
no,
black.
and it's the name of it's the poison pawn in the maneuver.
Oh, so at least I shouldn't beat myself up for not knowing the name for that poison pawn line because it's actually called the poison pawn line. It does feel a lot like that, but I guess the difference is when the queen is on c7, it's already attacking this guy, but now it feels like I have an extra tempo to deal with it however I want. Now I don't have to go knight e2 immediately. I could go knight f3. I could choose when to play f4 or h4, so it gives me more options. So I definitely like that.
Well, I can still have counterplay on c7 against, like you said, the e pawn, but also the white c3 pawn.
Yeah.
Right?
So that's one thing to consider. So let's say they go king f8. Now we have this knight b5. This is looking quite promising though. Ooh. Yeah, this is more my move. I guess knight f3 is good too, just going at this, but then knight c6. Maybe bishop b2, still can't eat it because of this. And this is, I think, a comfortable position. I don't think you're that much better, but your opponent is very, definitely more uncomfortable because a lot of these ideas that they would have revolves around c4. But now there's no more c5 for them. They don't have c5 anymore, and they're uncastled. But I'm not, so soon I can do this bishop d3. This bishop is still kind of sucky, so I'm very comfortable with this. Danny looks uncomfortable.
Oh, I was just wondering, I was trying to figure out why they didn't go bishop c7 to attack the guy.
Oh well, I guess first thing first, I could take it.
We're happy. That's the best bishop.
And the knight going to d6 is...
I could take it, but
Once
I
it goes
could-
once the bishop goes to c7, knight e6 doesn't work anymore. So I don't know. It's a.
but I don't think
terrible.
knight d6 is that huge of a deal, to, if I'm being honest. Because yes, knight d6 is something that we would like, but since the king has already moved, I don't really need knight d6 to make it work. Does that make sense? Hopefully.
Sure.
Okay, great. Okay, let me go. So that's something I wanted to talk about for. Where was I? This one. Let's say they take b4. Now what do you do? Now this is. I think I have more fun in this one, to be honest. What do you think is the best option here?
Now we play knight b5.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
Deltas.
Okay, what should we do? What do you think black should do? Is there anything that kind of concerns you?
The position.
Yeah.
See, there are multiple things. Thing number one, they could take, right? Thing number two, they could push, that's a check. Thing number three, they could develop, attack. So, few options for us to consider. So, what are we thinking? Anything specific in mind? Nobody wants anything specific in this line?
Well, maybe bishop c7 or knight c6. I mean, I'm just. I don't want the knight d6 to happen again, but bishop c7.
Well, that's fair. Well, let's talk about this one. Let's say they go knight c6. What do you do?
You just knight d6 and then knight d6 first. Always good. Just knight f3.
But that's fine. But you're also kind of leaving this side kind of hanging.
Right. I'm basically saying if they push or take, then I'm just gonna play bishop d2,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm just gonna. It's too overextended. I'm just gonna win it back eventually, but maybe not.
So what is your main idea?
My main idea is if they take or push, I was just going to claim that their pawn is overextended.
Okay.
And I'll win it back eventually. But, right, it doesn't really resolve it instantly, right? It's good.
Yeah, I feel like we don't need knight d6 just yet. We could
Okay.
always just go like bishop d2, bug this first. If they push it, well, that's great. I can just take. If they take it, I can simply activate my rook too. So I feel like I'm just a little bit more comfortable with this.
Right. And then I have knight d6 if they trade the bishop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I guess my thought process was if this happened and I played rook takes a3, they would just play bishop c7 after b takes a3. So bishop c7, and then I
But
would get the chance
now
to play
my
knight
rook
d6.
is really active, and this is a whole different problem that you have
Right.
to deal with.
Right. I'm just gonna start.
I feel like the threat of knight d6 is stronger than the actual move, because when you play knight d6, they're gonna play king f8. So I feel like it might be easier to push them to play king f8 with queen g4. Because unless you're going here to take this, that knight is not super stable there. So
Right, and I don't want to take that bishop.
exactly. Yep, I agree. All right. So that was like the knight c6 idea, but like yeah, you can also consider b3, which you can do this. You can consider take, which again you can do c3. So yeah, the main thing that I wanted to definitely mention is if bishop a5, you got this cool b4. I also agree. Yes, it is a little I guess scary when you are giving your opponent that open well, not open, that pass pawn on a file for a long future, but since it's so long in the future, I'm kind of hoping we'll checkmate them before it goes there. So alright, now I want to try and show them other crazy stuff. Let's say they take, we take. Now there was this one crazy idea I really liked. Where is my crazy stuff? Ooh. I already kind of talked about this queen a5, but I'm just going to show it again just because it brings me such pleasure every time I show this. So, against a specific opponent, I had prepared this because I remember this was like 2014. Every time I talk about anything past 2017, it just makes me feel so old. The other day, someone was asking me how long I've been playing chess, and I was like, well, I knew the moves when I was like, I knew the pieces when I was 2, but I wasn't really playing. So I started playing when I was 6, and then it hit me. It's been almost 18 years. My chess career could be becoming an adult soon. Oof. Yeah. Anyways, so one of the biggest things that helped me in this 18 years has been just kind of preparing for any opponent. So if I know I'm playing you, I will be preparing for you. So the best shot you got is to surprise me, which happens a lot in American tournaments. Anyways, that was kind of a big thing that does help me. Like preparation helps me. And it's like it's like when the teacher would say, hey, make sure to note these like last year's exams. I'm going to repeat something. It feels like that. So you should go for it. Anyways, this specific game I had prepared a little bit because, well, I took. And that's not necessarily the best idea. But I really wanted to, well, actually, hold on. Opponent went for this one in this game, in the game that I'm trying to show you. And Opponent chose to, well, take that. Now, what do you think is wrong with that?
The eval bar does help quite a bit.
Oh. Yeah. I should probably try and hide that, but
Queen b5 and then queen b7.
yeah. Or if they do stuff like that, beautiful, beautiful.
Bishop d3 traps the queen.
Exactly.
But I have a6.
A6. Attack, take the knight.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But see, my opponent was really nice. I remember as soon as I played bishop d3, he just looked at the board, he kind of smacked his head, he resigned, he left. And this was a rated classical game, so I had the whole evening to actually go swim and go back to town. This was in Denmark, so it was really beautiful weather. I liked biking. Good times. Anyways, so that's just something you can consider if your opponent does this queen a5 idea. This is not the best way to play it, but this is the trickiest way because you might be up a queen in less than 10 moves. So if you want to go for the trick, go for the trick.
Was that your preparation?
Yeah.
Or what?
It was. And it happened, yeah.
Oh, wow. Oh, okay. That's crazy.
Yeah,
Preparation.
exactly. Aw, I should take my cat on bike. Actually, that's not a bad idea. Cat on the bicycle. I don't know how he would deal with it. He was fine on the plane. He's usually fine in cars too for a short time. But cat and a bike. We'll see. So, let's talk about less crazy stuff. Let's get this knight e7 out of the way. Let's go queen g4. And now, I want to show this king f8. Just because... so, last time we did this line, which was 3 weeks ago on Twitch, we talked about queen c7 ideas. I still have to talk about castle later on, but let's talk about king f8 for right now. Because I had a really fun game in it. Ooh. Torlek, I miss my cat too. I can try to show pictures again. Actually, you know what? I might. If you find a good move for white right now, we can go with kitty pictures. I just took a new batch for my mom recently. So, what are we feeling? White to move.
I like h4.
It's okay. H4 is okay. H4 is very doable, but when you play this, I mean, H4 is good, but it's not what Negi has in his book, I believe. H4 is good, but I feel like you kind of show your hand too early. And it was quite interesting because this is the game that I actually encountered and I had fun with. But the problem was that now I have to keep defending these side, and it kind of messes with my harmony, my piece harmony. I don't want this rook on a2, but if I don't play it, I have to play like bishop d2, which again messes with the piece harmony because a part of me was hoping to get this, and definitely kind of not what I would dream about. Bishop on d2. What is that bishop doing on d2? So, in the game that I had, I went rook a2, and my opponent played h5, and then I had to move the queen again, and I tried to get some of my pieces rolling, and then I had to deal with this. Now, what do you think white should do right now? Again, find a good move. I'm dying to show this cat picture. That was a little different because now I also kind of have to worry about potential checks here. The rook is in a weird state.
Knight was on e2 there.
That If I can get f3, g4, I'm happy, but
How's the knight on e2 come? F3, G4.
Maybe it was just there.
Oh, okay. Fair point. It was there. Okay.
so we want to avoid this. So what do we do?
It was C4.
Something like that. Yeah, I went for c4 and it was great, and I need to show this. Okay, wait. Oh no, I can't show it because it's not the camera from here. No. Oh man, that's fine. I'll just post this on Instagram. But I'll give you a little preview. I'm asleep, completely asleep. I was actually asleep, and there's a cat right here, and he actually looks as big as I do.
Oh.
And yeah.
Wait, you can show us the
Oh, that's
graph,
fair.
right? You can put it on there.
How?
Here.
It's on my phone.
Oh, no. There's no web browser for
No.
Instagram? Oh, okay.
But it's such a great cat. Anyways. Okay. So c4 was what I did, and it was really great. And the idea behind c4 is I want to try and delay this bishops getting exchanged, and I would also really like to blow up the center because, well, your king is more under attack than my king, so my opponent should have taken d4, which I would probably take over here, and then they could try to weaken my king. And keep in mind, I can't take with this because boom. So then I would have to take with rook, and this would be a little more comfortable for opponent. But in this case, he actually played queen d7. And I remember he was a high, like almost 2500 IM, and he went for queen d7. And so what I did is I chose to try and continue blowing up the center. I'm continuing to blow up the center, and now, what do you think we should do? Also, we're getting closer to analyze your game, so please have your games ready. We'll go back, Nikki. I just really want to show this move as well. Yes, Devil c4. I like it. And after that, I blocked your bishop. I have successfully created a safe environment for my king. I have opened my rook. I love this. This was such a beautiful game. And the rest of the game was really good too. So it was just really comfortable. Opponent didn't really have much of a playback. But there was a question about why black can't take knight takes d4. Here, black can, but if they do, then c3. What are you going to do with this knight? If you go back, then I'll definitely take this. If you don't go back, well, then I'm going to take that. So again, because I'm trying to blow up the center, opponents should have tried to maintain some control over the center by taking here first, and then trying to mess with my king safety. So yeah, that's one thing I wanted to show you. And now for a finale, I'm gonna talk about boom, queen d1. Okay, I see some nice reactions from the two people that I can see. The other two hopefully also having fun reactions. So queen d1, what do we think? Yay, nay? Have you ever done it? Would you ever do it?
I've seen this move recommended in opening explorers, but I don't know why. I don't know why it's ever recommended. 'Cause it doesn't seem like, it just seems like we're making everything less active. My guess is just trying to analyze. We're gonna play like bishop e3 and then swing the queen over to like b1. But I really don't know why this move is played.
So remember how in the other line with h4 the opponents kept like h5 and I had to move the queen, and then they easily blocked up whatever my queen wanted to do?
Right.
So the idea is your queen's job here is done for right now. You played queen g4, opponent went king f8. Your queen's job is done at the moment. Bring it back, protect your queen side, reorganize your queen side, and when since your queen is not on the way, if when you play h4, you can try and support it for the pawns, you can have an easier time getting your pieces out because your queen is not on the way. So that's kind of the big deal. Now let's say opponent plays queen a5. Now what?
Bishop e2.
Yep.
Hang on the pawn.
Let's say queen a4.
Knight f3.
You can, but you are also right with the queen b1 idea.
So, why is this move recommended then?
Well, there are multiple reasons. Well, first of all, you are stopping a bunch of stuff that black would want to do on the queen side. So again, you're trying to stabilize the queen side before you take over the king side. Because the center is blocked, if you just start doing stuff in the king side, opponent is also just going to start doing stuff in the queen side. So you want to take away opponent's activity and any type of counterplay. Now, why queen b1 specifically? Well, let's see. If it's black to move again, what do you think black wants to do?
Take on d4.
Yes, for example. Another idea could be something like this. To try and activate a bishop, or like b6, bishop a6. So queen b1 definitely stops any type of bishop activity. Well, I say definitely. Whoops, sorry. But this is still possible. I mean, I would be happy about it. So that's one thing to keep in mind. The other thing is, let's say they play like b6. Bye-bye. I would be very happy about this. Let's see, what else do I have to kind of worry about? Maybe knight c6, stacking here, but then again you get bishop e5. You can just continue developing. c4s could also be coming up, so that would definitely be something that we would want to do. So queen b1 protects your queen side and also tries to kick away opponents from the queen side, so it's not just protecting but also taking control over the queen side. And then soon you're going to be able to do stuff in the king side with like h4, with like knight f3. You don't have to castle, but since you have the option, you can consider it. So, does that help?
That makes sense.
Great. Now, queen b1 is great. Also, let me make sure my alarm is not going to go off again, because, you know, I learned to put alarms for when to clock in, when to clock out, but then I forget to close the alarm after clocking in or out. But, meh. Yeah. So queen b1 is definitely a very cool thing, and I'm not the, I don't really like it when opponent plays c4, because I feel like whenever they do the c4, then I don't get bishop d3, and that's, well, not what I want. But also when they play c4, they definitely stop these stuff here. Now it means I can go bananas on the king side. So yeah, I don't really like, I wish I had the bishop on d3 before this happened, so I could keep my bishop in this diagonal, but that's not the end of the road for this bishop. Now, you can definitely continue attacking on the king side this way. You can kind of set it up, and whenever it's appropriate and your queen feels like it's done over here, you can swing it to the other side. Oh, bishop h5 is so pretty. Yeah. This feels like those like games like Parking Jam that you have to move this car this side to get the other car out. Is that just that's yeah, I think so. I had the actual like Parking Jam physically when I was a kid to like move this car around so you can move this car around so you can get that car out. Was it just me?
I don't think I've ever played a game like that, but it sounds plausible, especially for, I don't know when that would be.
It's not the exact game, but similar games.
Maybe it's not American, man. Anyways, this feels like that. You know, you keep moving something to open up something else. But the main thing is at the same time you're doing this, you're also not letting opponent do whatever they want. So you're keeping this rook here because it's defending. You're keeping this queen here because it's defending. But at the same time, your queen has the option of jumping to the other side when it's appropriate, whereas his queen or their queen is just kind of stuck there. They have to move way too many times to get to the center/king side. So that's why this position would be better for us and definitely more comfortable. Where's that king going? Played king f8, then king e8, then king d8, and probably king c7 at some point. Oh yeah, this is actually a game I had. Yeah, that was a fun game. Oh, this was such a pretty game. Finally, g4. Wait. Yeah, they can take this though. Quick question. In real life, would you take this?
Maybe
So,
blitz.
Yeah. In blitz, yeah, exactly.
It looks so good. Because then I'm gonna play knight f4. Like everything's gonna be so weak. But I don't think I would play it in a classical game.
It was a classical game and it was a round robin tournament. And
Would you take it now?
well, I have my norms. Yeah, I would.
I've had this game before. It should be.
No, but like when you're playing for norms and like you're so close to crossing 2400 or like 2300, like one of those like big milestones, it's so stressful. Now, yeah, I would take it. But when I'm actually playing for like something big, I don't know actually. I have a very different chess philosophy these days. I'm more about torture, so.
I guess it's who am I playing against? If I'm playing against a higher rated player, I think I would take.
This opponent was slightly higher rated, yeah.
Yeah, I think if they're higher rated, I would take. If
Why?
not, I would just play it normal. Because the higher rated, they can still mess up the tactics. But if they're a grandmaster in an endgame, they just have more understanding than me. So.
Wait, what now?
I was just gonna say I have better chances in a situation tactical skirmish versus a GM where it's like very tactical. But if it's like an end game, I'm just slightly worse. I'm almost 100% going to lose.
Oh, yeah, that's fair, yeah. But yeah, I should have taken it, but I kind of chickened out. But again, I had a very different chess philosophy 6 years ago. This was 6 years ago. Oh my god. Yeah. So yeah, I should have taken it, but I didn't. That would have definitely scored me a norm earlier. But I went for g4, and g4 was fine too, but then opponent got counterplay, and you know, I had some tactical ideas of my own, but again, opponent kind of didn't have to go for it. And anyways, this game I had advantage for quite a long time, but I had trouble converting and he just slipped away. The game was a draw.